Oh, hi! Welcome to the All Homesteading Knitting Podcast. My name is Natalie. We have a Halloween themed episode for you today, so let's go! So I have a few finished objects for you today. I have a hat, a mat, and a bat to show. But let's start with what I'm wearing. So the top that I'm wearing is not a finished object for this month. I knitted it in the summer, and it is the Rib Lace Raglan by James N. Watts. I paired it with a pair of dungarees that I bought from a company, a London-based company called Turtle Dove. It's organic cotton, and I thought it would pair nicely with this top. So I knitted the top out of 2 strands of woolly knit cone. It's a theme for me. I love woolly knit cones as a knitting staple. Held with knitting for olive, kid silk mohair. So I did a few modifications to the pattern. I added some ribbing for the neckband for a bit of structure, and I only continued the lace to the bust, and then from the bust down I knit in stockinette. So I'm quite happy with that. It's more of a transitional period piece because I've knitted short sleeves and it's not as warm, but it's great for layering and for the transitional period. Okay, so the first finished object that I have for you today is my knitted hat. So I'm sat by the fire, so it is pretty hot. It's a free pattern by Pearl Soho, and yeah, it's a 1x1 ribbed hat. I knitted it to pattern. I knitted the penultimate size. But what I did change is for my size, I think you knit to 9¼ inches, and I knitted an extra 3 inches onto the hat, just so that I could have this nice thick cozy brim. Folded the rim up twice, and so it makes a nice cozy edge. The yarn I knit, again, woolly knit cone held double, and also some mohair by Drops, also held double. This is yarn from a frogged ranunculus project that I've talked about before. Yeah, and I'm pretty happy with it and with the fit. I can also have it without the rolled up hem as a long sort of slouchy beanie with a bit of extra at the back, at the crown. So yeah, first finished object. So let's move on to my second finished object. So I decided to knit some placemats for my dining table. So this is the first. So this is a simple garter stitch design. Well, not design, it's just a knitted square. So I knitted it flat using the wool. So it's 100% wool. It's called The Wool by We Are Knitters, and it is jumbo weight yarn that I got given as a gift a few Christmases ago. It's not really practical to be used for a garment, so I thought it would be pretty cool to use it as a placemat, because I like to have placemats on the dining table that I can just chuck into the washing machine when they get dirty. No mess, no fuss. So this is a great addition. I just have to remember to not use it, to only use it for a couple of meals and then hand wash them, or just chuck it on a quick cold wash in the washing machine. Very simple. Cast on 30 stitches and knit for 30 centimeters, and this was sufficient enough at one of our dinner plates, and enough space for a drink and some cutlery either side. So yeah, the colorway is sprinkle, hand painted sprinkle, something like that. So it's quite pretty, but unfortunately I don't have any other use for it. I've had it sitting in my stash for quite a while, so I thought, okay, it's time to do something with it. So it's quite nice to have it and, you know, a pop of colour on our dining table. Finished object number 3. Please meet Balthazar the Bat. And his red scarf, which is really not part of the pattern, but I added it anyway because I thought it would be cute. So this is a pattern by Claire Garland for Dot Pebble Knits. I wanted to knit a bat for Halloween, and when I looked for a pattern on Ravelry, the bat really stood out for me. Well, the last time I checked, so a few days ago, the pattern still is free. Say go ahead and download the pattern on Ravelry. So it's knit flat. So you start with the head and you work your way down, and then the four legs were knit separately. So I knit exactly to pattern using it's quite small, I think it was 2mm needles, and I used sheet felt for the wings. The only thing that I did a little differently was that I added some armature wire for the legs, feet and arms, just for my purposes, because I want to use Balthazar for my stop motion projects. So having armature wire in the arms and feet just makes it a little bit easier to pose and stand on his own. Yarn I used for Balthazar was some scrap Plötulopi and some scrap Nutiden just for his belly. Didn't use a lot of yarn at all. I stuffed him, so in his head and his body, yarn ends, you know, so you've got to use all of the skein, so just to use things up. Okay, so let's get on to whips. So I have 2 whips to share with you today and a failed whip. So in my last episode I mentioned that I was knitting a free pattern called the Kudzu cardigan, which is a lace designed cardigan, and I thought it was really cute and something that I wanted to add to my autumn wardrobe. However, I had made a mistake in reading the lace chart. So instead of reading the reverse, the wrong side, left to right as you would, I continued to read it right to left. It didn't look right. Once I finished the lace work, it looked nothing like the pattern, and the straw that broke the camel's back was the fact that when I came to separating for the sleeves and the body, I had nowhere near enough stitches as the pattern called for. So it was just I have issues with lace, so it's something that I would like to work on in the future, but for the moment I had to rip it back. It wasn't giving what it was supposed to give, so I frogged it, and yes, it was mission aborted. Okay, so let's go on to my first whip, which is not much to show, to be honest with you, but it's working up quite well. So this is the Ankers sweater man. I think it's my boyfriend's size. is the official name, by Petite Knit. Yeah, it's a ribbed yoke construction. I might need to add, I don't think it has any neck shaping, so I might need to add some German short rows or such. But at the moment, I've only done 2 repeats, so there's not really much to actually share. So this was a pattern picked by my husband because I told him that I would knit him a sweater for the season. I'm using the cotton merino by Drops because my husband is not really a woolly wool type of fella, so I knitted him a hat last year out of the cotton merino, and he's happy with the thickness of that hat, so I thought stick with this yarn for a sweater for him for the season. So that's what we have. Okay, so the fire is continuing. Okay, I'm just going to hit pause so that I can chuck another brick on. Okay, so whip number 2 will be a pair of socks. Well, I'm just about working through the cuff for a vanilla pair of socks for my neighbour. Now, I want to talk to you about commissions and selling knitwear, because this is my first ever commission for knitting. I knit for myself, I knit for my family, I knit for gifts, but selling my knits is not really something I have ever contemplated, because I don't really want to deal with the situation where people don't really want to pay what hand knitted items are worth. And yeah, I don't really want to fight for fair payment, but this commission kind of just fell in my lap a little bit. I'll explain. So when we moved into this house, we have a neighbour who is a retired builder, and when we moved in, he and his wife were super helpful, helping us out with various small jobs. Really nice guy. We have always paid for his services. There have been some odd jobs where he's offered his services, but on the most part we pay, which is what you do in life. But when we first moved in, for that Christmas, I actually knitted him a pair of socks and a tub of handmade balm that I make from lime leaves and chamomile leaves from my garden. I'll put a link to the recipe if you would like to try that. So I gifted him this little pack, and it turns out that he suffers from diabetes and has problems with his feet, and so he was very thankful for the balm which he uses on his feet at night, and then he tops that up. He wears the socks that I gifted, so they were wool socks, BFL wool. So, you know, a nice pair of woolly socks that he uses every night apparently in bed. So he has since asked for a refill of the balm, and I have no issue with providing a refill free of charge. But he recently approached me and asked for a pair of socks to be knitted for him again, for when his original pair are in the wash, so he has another pair to swap them out with. So I definitely thought, okay, I have to charge. I'm all for bartering, services and goods in exchange for goods and services that we need. I'm happy to do that. However, when he has done jobs for us, we pay him because that's the way of the world. So I don't know why we're like this, in that I felt awkward and I felt shy about pricing up what I think my knitting time is worth, how much my materials are worth, plus a little bit of profit on top of that. Felt shy about giving him my price. And in any other profession, you don't feel shy about telling somebody your price, especially when we know that we are offering value, the person appreciates our work. Obviously, I am a hobbyist knitter, I'm a hobbyist podcaster. I don't do this for profit, I don't do this for a dependable income. But, this situation has made itself known to me, but yet I have an issue with how much to quote him. So before I even cast on any stitches, I came back to him with what I think is a fair price for a pair of hand knitted wool socks, which he has agreed with. So yeah, happy days. But yeah, I think people who work in creative industries we really need to get over feeling shy and embarrassed about how much we need to charge for our time and our energy, because it doesn't seem to be valued so much, in the world, where you can see this with people, with companies who make a profit with bigger influencers, publicizing their yarn, and yet being paid in yarn and not paid in cash. I mean, this is ridiculous. We can't pay our bills in yarn, so we need to go and get our coins. We need to respect our time. We need to make the world appreciate our time and our craft and our skill that we take the time to hone. Okay, so that is everything I wanted to share with you today. I hope you'll stick around for my little animation, like a bat out of felt. And I hope you like it. Please comment, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Bye bye.
Like a bat out of felt, I'll be gone when the morning comes. When the fight is over, like a bat out of felt, I'll be gone, gone, gone. Like a bat out of